visits I have made overall. Certainly the landmarks are now so familiar to me that I have to remind myself to actually see the forms and shapes in front of me. I could stumble blind across these rocks, the edges of these precipices, without fear of missing my step and plummeting down to sea. Besides, I have always considered that if one is to fall, it is critical to keep one's eyes firmly open. Donnelly reported the legend of the hermit, a holy man who sought solitude in its most pure form. Allegedly, he rode here from the mainland in a boat without a bottom, so all the creatures of the sea could rise at night to converse with him. How disappointed he must have been with their chatter. Perhaps now, when all that haunts the ocean is the rubbish dumped from the tankers, he'd find more peace. They say he threw his arms wide in a valley on the south side, and the cliff opened up to provide him shelter. They say he died of fever 116 years later. The shepherds left gifts for him at the mouth of the cave, but Donnelly records they never claimed to have seen him. I have visited the cave and I have left my gifts, but like them, I appear to be an unworthy subject of his solitude.
This reminds me of like some Gmod graphics, bro.
Those islands in the distance, I am sure, are nothing more than relics of another time, sleeping giants, somnambulist gods laid down for a final dreaming. I wash the sand from my lips and grip my wrist ever more tightly. My shaking arms will not support my fading diaries.
It's the money spread thing.
Dear Esther, I found myself to be as featureless as this ocean, as shallow and unoccupied as this bay, a listless wreck without identification. My rocks are these bones, and a careful fence to keep the precipice at bay. Shot through me caves, my forehead a mount. This aerial will transmit into me so. All overexposed, the nervous system, where Donnelly's boots and yours and mine still trample. I will carry a torch for you. I will leave it at the foot of my headstone. You will need it for the tunnels that carry me under.
I mean, the game looks pretty nice, but it's kind of
Donnelly's book
old.
had not been taken out from the library since 1974. I decided it would never be missed as I slipped it under my coat and avoided the librarian's gaze on the way out. If the subject matter is obscure, the writer's literary style is even more so. It is not the text of a stable or trustworthy reporter. Perhaps it is fitting that my only companion in these last days should be a stolen book written by a dying man. When someone had died or was dying, or was so ill they gave up what little hope they could sacrifice, they cut parallel lines into the cliff, exposing the white chalk beneath. You could see them from the mainland or the fishing boats, and know to send aid or impose a cordon of protection. Wait a generation until whatever pestilence stalked the cliff paths died along with its hosts. My lines are just for this: to keep any would-be rescuers at bay. The infection is not simply of the flesh. I quote directly: a motley lot with little to recommend them. I have now spent 3 days in their company. That is, I fear, enough for any man not born amongst them. Despite their tedious inclination to quote scripture, they seem to me the most God-forsaken of all the inhabitants of the Outer Isles. Indeed, in this case, the very gravity of that term, forsaken by God, seems to find its very apex. It appears to me that Donnelly, too, found those who wander this shoreline to be adrift from any chance of redemption. Did he include himself in that, I wonder? Dear Esther, I met Paul. I made my own little pilgrimage. My Damascus, a small semi-detached on the outskirts of Wolverhampton. We drank coffee in his kitchen and tried to connect to one another. Although he knew I hadn't come in search of an apology, reason or retribution, he still spiraled in panic, thrown high and lucid by his own dented bonnet. Responsibility had made him old. Like us, he'd already passed beyond any conceivable boundary of life. I threw my arms wide and the cliff opened out before me, making this rough home. I transferred my belongings from the bothy on the mount and tried to live here instead. It was cold at night, and the sea lapped at the entrance at high tide. To climb the peak, I must first venture even deeper into the veins of the island, where the signals are blocked altogether. Only then will I understand them, when I stand on the summit and they flow into me, uncorrupted.
That thing Loki scared me when I first saw it. Man, this game made sure you're not getting your refund.
I dreamt I stood in the center of the sun, and the solar radiation cooked my heart from the inside.
Damn.
My teeth will curl, and my fingernails fall off into my pockets like loose change. If I could stomach, I'd eat, but all I seem capable of is salt water. Were the livestock still here, I could turn feral and gorge. I'm as emaciated as a body on a slab, opened up for a premature source of death. I've rowed to this island in a heart without a bottom, all the bacteria of my gut rising up to sing to me.
This music is dramatic, to say the least. I think I go this way.
Dear Esther, I have now driven the stretch of the M5 between Exeter and Bristol over 21 times. But although I have all the reports and all the witnesses, and have cross-referenced them within a millimetre using my Ordnance Survey maps, I simply cannot find the location. You'd think there would be marks to serve as some evidence. It's somewhere between the turn-off for Sanford and the welcome brake services. But although I can always see it in my rear-view mirror, I have as yet been unable to pull ashore.
What is this place?
It's only at night that this place makes any sluggish effort at life. You can see the boy and the area. I've been taking to sleeping through the day in an attempt to resurrect myself. I can feel the last days drawing upon me. There's little point now in continuation.
What does it say?
There must be something
Neither
new to
did
find
he eat nor
some nook
drink.
or some cranny that offers a perspective worth clinging to.
Jesus?
I've burnt my bridges. I've sunk my boats
Oh,
and watched them
yeah.
go to water.
Neither did he eat or drink, nor drink, I think is what it says. My first thought was like 40 days and 40 nights. Jesus didn't eat or drink, but I'm not sure really. Wait, oh, I thought that was a lighthouse. What the hell? Wait, is that a lighthouse? No, it's like a antenna tower. The lighthouse was at the little house we started.
There must be a hole in the bottom of the boat. How else could new hermits have arrived?
A hole at the bottom of the boat? And neither did he eat nor drink.
kidney stones, and you visited me in the hospital. After the operation, when I was still half submerged in anesthetic, your outline and your speech both blurred. Now my stones have grown into an island and made their escape, and you have been rendered opaque by the car of a drunk.
So is this guy dead because of a drunk car crash, maybe? I don't know. It's kind of a weird, all of it.
I've begun my ascent on the green slope of the western side. I've looked deep into the mountain from the shaft and understood that I must go up and then find the way under. I will stash the last vestiges of my civilization in the stone walls and work deeper from there. I'm drawn by the aerial and the cliff edge. There is some form of rebirth waiting for me there.
Rebirth.
The bothy was constructed originally in the early 1700s. By then, shepherding
Where am I?
formalized into a career. The first habitual shepherd was a man called Jacobson, from a lineage of migratory Scandinavians. He was not considered a man of breeding by the mainlanders. He came here every summer whilst building the bothy, hoping eventually that becoming a man of property would secure him a wife and a lineage. Donnelly records that it did not work. He caught some disease from his malcontented goats and died 2 years after completing it.
Damn.
There was no one to carve white lines into the cliff for him either. Three cormorants seen at dusk. They did not land. This house built of stone, built by a long dead shepherd. Contents: my camp bed, a stove, a table, chairs, my clothes, my books. The caves that score out the belly of this island, leaving it famished. My limbs and belly famished. This skin, these organs, this failing eyesight. When the battery runs out in my torch, I will descend into the caves and follow only the phosphorescence home.
Am I reliving what this guy went through? And I'm telling this to Esther.
He left his body to the medical school and was duly opened out for a crowd of students 21 days after his passing. The report is included in my edition of his book. The syphilis had torn through his guts like a drunk driver, scrambling his organs like eggs on a plate. But enough definition remained for a cursory examination, and, as I suspected, they found clear evidence of kidney stones.
Donating bodies
the
to
last
science.
years of his life in considerable pain. Perhaps this is the root of his laudanum habit. Although its use makes him an unreliable witness, I find myself increasingly drawn into his orbit.
Seems like there was a boat here. Whoa. The buoy.
Did Jakobsen crawl this far? Can I identify the scratches his nails ruined into the rocks? Am I following him cell for cell, inch for inch? Why did he turn back on himself and not carry through to the ascent?
Whoa. Look at all the stalagmites. Or at least I think that's what they're called. Are those cicadas, bro?
I first saw him sat by the side of the road. I was waiting for you to be cut out of the wreckage. The car looked like it had been dropped from a great height.
I've seen this
Guts of
in
the engine
science
spilled
class.
over the tarmac, like water underground.
It looks like those bunch of science stuff, you know, like all the flasks and stuff connected. Look at that waterfall. Whoa. This is actually really, like, beautiful. Oh, I'm turning into a cave diver.
In my final dream, I sat at peace with Jakobsen and watched the moon over the Sandford Junction. Goats grazed on the hard shoulder. The world gone to weed and redemption. He showed me his fever scars, and I mine. Between each shoulder, the nascency of flight.
This is like an experience for sure. Whoa.
This is a drowned man's face, reflected in the moonlit waters. It can only be a dead shepherd who has come to drunk drive you home.
I kind of want to look at the other way first. Wait, can I even go up here actually? Oh, I can't. Okay, never mind. Behold, Damascus. Behold, Damascus versus Flicky? I don't know. Whoa. Away from being... Bro, I can't read that. A day? I don't know. And it shall be a... something help? Okay. Okay. This is not where I thought I'd end up. Oh my god, is this the car crash? They were talking about drunk driving. Why am I still underwater? Oh my goodness, that's beautiful.
I sat here and watched two jets carve parallel white lines into the sky. They charted their course, and I followed them for 21 minutes until they turned off near Sanford and were lost. If I were a gull, I would abandon my nest and join them. I would starve my brain of oxygen and suffer delusions of transcendence. I would tear the bottom from my boat and sail across the motorways until I reached this island once again.
Sorry. Are these docks for boats? That's someone? Oh my god, is that a statue?
I returned home with a pocket full of stolen ash. Half of it fell out of my coat and vanished into the car's upholstery. But the rest I carefully stowed away in a box I kept in a drawer by the side of my bed. It was never intended as a meaningful act, but over the years it became a kind of talisman. I'd sit still, quite still for hours, just holding the diminishing powder in my palm and noting its smoothness. In time, it will all be worn down into granules, washed into the sea and dispersed. There were chemical diagrams on the posters on the walls on the waiting room. It seemed appropriate at the time. Still life abstractions of the processes which had already begun to break down your nerves and your muscles in the next room. I crammed diazepam as I once crammed for
Around
chemistry examinations. I am revising my
should
options for a long and happy life.
heaven? Flight from heaven, shove something around? Or light, oh no, light from heaven. Oh my god, what the?
From here, I could see my armada. I collected all the letters I'd ever meant to send to you, if I'd have ever made it to the mainland, but had instead collected at the bottom of my rucksack, and I spread them out along the lost beach. Then I took each and every one, and I folded them into boats. I folded you into the creases, and then, as the sun was setting,
Are the boats?
I set the fleet to sail. Shattered into 21 pieces, I consigned you to the Atlantic.
On a
sat
sudden light
here
from heaven
until I
shone
watched all
around
of you
him,
sink.
and he'll fall to the ground. Some eggs here. It's definitely gotten darker.
When Paul keeled over dead on the road to Damascus, they resuscitated him by hitting him in the chest with stones gathered by the roadside. He was lifeless for 21 minutes.
Wait, is this for the moon?
Certainly long
I want to
enough
see
for
it.
the oxygen levels in his brain to have decreased and caused hallucinations and delusions of transcendence. I'm running out of painkillers, and the moon has become almost unbearably bright.
I want to see the moon. Oh, please let me see the moon. The Southwest Weston Esmer M6. It's like a minecart. Rails, wood cart.
I've begun my voyage in a paper boat without a bottom. I will fly to the moon in it. I've been folded along a crease in time, a weakness in the sheet of life. Now you've settled on the opposite side of the paper to me. I can see your traces in the
And as he was proceeding on his journey,
vegetation. When we become waterlogged and the cage disintegrates, we will intermingle.
and as he was proceeding
When
on
this
his
paper
journey.
aeroplane leaves the cliff edge and carves parallel vapor trails in the dark, we will come together.
Wait, what? No, that thing disappeared. Was it like an angel watching over me? Look at the beautiful night sky. Near and as he came near something, and he were nor he was
If only Dominic had
there
experienced this, he would have realized he was his own shoreline, as am I.
days with
Just as I am becoming this island, so he became his syphilis,
out
retreating into the burning synapses, the stones, the infection.
Oh my god, I just thought of something. What if we are Esther? because like we've seen the things that he was talking about, like the paper boats down there, and I was like, why are we like? I was just thinking, why do we know this letter? Because he gave it to us. Because we're Esther.
Risen to the surface, but the gulls are not here to carry them back to their nests. I've become fixed, open and staring, an eye turned on itself. I've become an infected leg whose tracking lines form a perfect map of the junctions of the M5. I will take the exit at mid-thigh and plummet to my Esther.
Are these like war bunkers? I just realized it looks like that. And came to pass that as made it journeys, danger, authorized personnel keep out. Oh my goodness, it's a beautiful shot of the moon. Hold on.
Donnelly or spat Jakobsen back at the scene. He had not careered across the lost shores and terminal beaches of this nascent archipelago. He did not intend his bonnet to be crumpled like a spent tissue by the impact. His windscreen
It's really windy up here.
Studded all over like a map of the heavens. His paintwork etched with circuit diagrams, strange fish to call the gulls away. The phosphorescence of the skid marks lighting the M5 all the way from Exeter to Damascus.
Were with me. Were with me. That were with me. Came into that were with me. Came into that were with me. Damage? Is that what that says? Damage. Oh my god. Damage came that were with me. Damage to those who were with me?
I have run out of places to climb. I will abandon this body and take to the air.
Okay, maybe I am the dude writing the letter. Or, I'm not sure. Cutscene.
Esther, I have burnt my belongings, my books, this death certificate. Mine will be written all across this island. Who was Jakobsen? Who remembers him? Donnelly has written of him, but who was Donnelly? Who remembers him? I have painted, carved, hewn, scored into this space all that I could draw from him. There will be another to these shores to remember me. Rise from the ocean like an island without bottom, come together like a stone, become an aerial, a beacon, that they will not forget you. We have always been drawn here. One day the gulls will return and nest in our bones and our history. I will look to my left and see Esther Donnelly flying beside me. I will look to my right and see Paul Jakobsen flying beside me. They will leave white lines carved into the air to reach the mainland, where help will be sent.
flying. I will leave this body. That's where the boats are. Am I a bird? Wow.